Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new deck profile. Now, this profile I almost had it on the channel, but then I sort of decided to tweak the ratios and then it became quite significant of a build compared to the deck profile that I was going to post. So I deleted the old one and this is sort of like the updated version because I feel like I just didn't want to give you guys a random list that didn't really make much sense. So, Mythical ZEFRA, this is coming to be my favorite deck out of Extreme Force. Yes, it's not like a full deck out of Extreme Force, it's sort of like an engine splashed into an older deck. But I just really love how the way the deck functions and the amount of plays that I can make. Also, I love its consistency because it pretty much plays 3 of every necessary card. Most of it being the Mythical Engine. And then it plays the core ZEFRA cards for search and consistency, as well as I play the removal ZEFRA cards and ZEFRA Wendy. The only reason I chose to play, outside being the Yang Zing Synchros, I chose to play those ones was because Zefraxiton is pretty good at dealing with face-down cards, ZEFRA Thuban is pretty good at dealing with face-up cards. ZEFRA Wendy is a really solid normal summon, and the deck doesn't really have a normal summon, as well as being able to get me a card from the extra deck to my hand, so that way I can pendulum summon from the hand instead of the extra deck. So I can use the extra deck spot for a different link monster. Other than that, the deck is just really consistent, honestly. So onto the profile itself, we play triple Zefrath, boss pendulum scale. His effect is you can send a Zephyr from the deck to the extra deck, and then he becomes that scale. Triple Master Cerberus, triple Sorcerer, triple King Jackal, triple Zephrinu, 1 Gofu, 1 Zefraxiton, triple Garuda, 1 Zephyr Thuban, double Zephyr Wendy, triple Zefraxi, double Archfiend Eccentric, triple normal Jackal, 1 Raigeki, 1 Paradox, 1 Dark Hole, 1 Goblin, triple Providence, triple Zephyr Oracle, 1 Zephyr Wall, 1 Divine Strike, and 1 9 Pillars. So now I'm going to explain the actual concepts of the Zephyr cards. So Master Cerberus, his pendulum effect is that if you don't control another card in the pendulum zone, you can destroy this card and then add a level 7 or a mythical beast monster from your deck to your hand. So basically he's a searcher. King Jackal as pendulum effect. And then his normal effect is each time a spell card is activated, place 2 spell counters on this card. If there are 4 spell counters on it, this card cannot be destroyed by card effects. Once per turn, you can remove 4 spell counters, target 1 card your opponent controls, banish it, and if you do, this card gains attack equal to the original attack of that monster. So this card is really good at dealing with things like Crystal Wing, because as long as you bait out the initial negate of the Crystal Wing, you just banish the Crystal Wing, and then this card gains 3,000 attack, making it almost 6,000 attack. So he's like your base, like your essential OTK monster. You always want to have this when you want to go for those OTKs. Then we'll play triple Astrograph Sorcerer. We pretty much play 3 of every card, so Sorcerer will always get a search, acting as a 2,500 body, helping us OTK is very nice, as well as being a pendulum monster that we can maybe use for Electrum. You honestly do not need to play Electrum in this deck. I rarely find myself going into it unless I have some not cloggy, but like weak monsters that I already use their effects, such as Zefraxiton, maybe Zephyr Thuban, Zephyr Wendy. Yeah, very rarely will I go into the Link side of the deck more than I go into the Xyz and Synchros. But it's still here just in case, you know. And then we'll play triple Beast King Jackal. The Beast Jackal's effect, well, his effect is that you can destroy him in the pendulum zone if you don't only control like himself in the pendulum zone, and special summon a mythical beast monster from your extra deck. So essentially you can Master Cerberus to destroy and search, and then put this in the scale that you search and then destroy it and special summon out the Master Cerberus. Pretty solid play there. Then we have the mystical beast Garuda. This is basically sort of like an Archfiend Eccentric, where if this is the only card you control in the pendulum zone, you can target a spell or trap on the field and destroy that card and this card as well. But also its monster effect is really, really good, because when your opponent would normal or special summon a monster, you can remove 3 spell counters on the field and then special summon this card and return the opponent monster or monsters to the hands. So this is really good against things like if your opponent is playing pendulums and he goes out for the electrum, you basically just shuffle the electrum back into the extra deck and they just wasted a bunch of resources, at least 2 cards, to bring out the electrum. So you kind of just go plus as well. This develops your board, and you can always use this card for things like synchros, XEs, and even links. And then we have the normal Jackal. So what this card does is you can, if it's in the pendulum zone, it's the only card you control, you can destroy it and then place a spell counter on a monster. That effect is pretty irrelevant, but it's normal summon, well, his main monster zone monster effect is the more relevant part, and that is, you can remove 3 spell counters from this card and then tribute and special summon 1 mythical beast effect monster from your deck, except itself. So this card is really good because if you have this and 3 spells, which can either be normal spells or your pendulum cards, because they are treated as spells when they go in the pendulum zone, you can pretty much get this effect off very, very easily. A common way that I like to do it is Jackal, and then if I have a Providence, activate Providence, Providence, search Oracle, activate Oracle. That's 2 spell counters already. If I have another Pendulum monster, I just place it in the Pendulum scale and I can get its effect off, which will then give me access to a King Jackal if I go first, or a Master Cerberus if I go second. So very, very strong play there. And then for the supplementary engines of the deck, I already covered the Astrograph Sorcerer. I play the one Gofu because, you know, free Deco Talker gives us 2 spaces for extra deck summoning, and I play double Arching Eccentric, acting as a conditionless high scale that does not require me to play. It doesn't require me to have like a different pendulum scale. Does not restrict me from pendulum summoning. The problem with the ZEFRA cards in the pendulum scales is that they restrict you from pendulum summoning except their sub-archetype and ZEFRA. So most of the time, what will end up happening is I'll most likely have, say for example, the Astrograph Sorcerer and the Zefrath, or the Arching Eccentric and the Zefrath acting as my pendulum scales, or sometimes even the Mythical Beast cards as pendulum scales. So yeah, pretty okay there. Then for the spells, we have Board Wipes, Raigeki Dark Hole, Upstart Goblin. I quite like it in this deck. It always allows me to draw into pieces that I need. These cards for consistency, 2 best friends. This is sort of like your stun cards that you want to see going first. ZEFRA 1 maybe going second is also pretty nice. So yeah, the deck is just like pretty straightforward to use. You start off using your Mythical Beast cards, try to get your advantage that way, and then in the second half of your turn, you kind of just want to use your ZEFRA cards. Although if you do open up Jackal, you essentially want to normal summon Jackal and then use your spells in Pendulum cards to activate their effects, and then get the counters and special summon out a monster that you might need. So the deck just has like a lot of useful stun, essentially. The deck is just very it's very good at doing defense using the ZEFRA side of the deck, and then very good at using offense with the Mythical Beast side of the deck. But it can also be the other way, where the ZEFRAs also have utility for aggressiveness in the form of ZEFRA Thuban, Zephaxiton, and even Zephrenia, where if you're able to search a ZEFRA War. And then your Jackals, your King Jackal can remove 2 spell counters to negate the activation of a monster once per turn and destroy that card. And your Garuda can obviously like bounce back a opponent's monster or monsters that is special summoned. So pretty good. For the extra deck, we play 1 Chao Feng. This I always end up making this card. It's just phenomenal. 1 Chao Feng, 1 Ignista, 1 Yazi, 1 Meteor Burst. Meteor Burst, you definitely want to play in this deck for a reason, which I'll explain. 1 Charge Warrior, still very solid, easy combo with Oracle. 1 Utopia Beyond, 1 M7, 1 Photon Bouncer, 1 Castell, 1 Breaksword, 1 Borrowload, 1 Decode, double Electrum, 1 Proxy. So the Gofu package of Proxy, Decode is self-explanatory. Borrowload you can easily swap out for something else, maybe a Baguska, Tornado Dragon. You know, you can easily swap this card out, and you can also easily just play 1 Electrum. The Synchro lineup, You can always trim down from the link lineup to increase on the synchros, but you don't really have any tuners other than ZEFRA, so you kind of just want to have one of each level in a way. Well, you do have 2 level 7s, but that's a story for a different day. Charge Warrior is good at dealing with things like Scapegoat and such. Meteor Burst, the way I like to use Meteor Burst is if I have the Master Cerberus on scale, I go into Meteor Burst, and then I use Meteor Burst's effect to special summon out Master Cerberus, which is really nice because the Mythical Beast cards do not have restrictions on summoning, so you can just, if you can find a way to special summon them, you're free to do so, which is phenomenal. So, Meteor Burst plus Master Cerberus, your opponent cannot activate effects during the battle phase, and you can banish an opponent's monster to make this card even stronger. So very, very good. Yazi's still really solid, going first since it cannot be targeted by opponent card effects, and also it has pretty decent attack points, as well as being able to destroy itself to pop a card on your opponent's side of the field, and then when it's destroyed you can bring out a ZEFRA, which will give you a search. So it adds a sense of floatiness to the deck. Ignister also pretty good, being able to destroy one card and then shuffle a card on the field, and also has pretty nice attack points. You'll most likely make this with, say for example, 2 level 4s. So what you can do is, for example, bring out ZEFRA and ZEFRA Wendy, or ZEFRA Thuban, or ZEFRAxiton, make them a tuner, and then use, for example, Garuda, and that's one common way to go into Ignister. And then Chao Feng, the classic, bring with ZEFRA and ZEFRA, making Chao Feng really beefy, a very, very solid card, which also floats. For this Xyz lineup, I have the Utopia Beyond in case I do want to OTK. That's because Jackal, as good as it is, the more copies of Jackal that you have the better, because if its effect is a soft once per turn, so it's once per copy, so potentially you can have up to 3 monster negations. 2 is usually game winning, and 1 is enough to at least make your opponent your opponent's plays less effective. And then ZEFRA, you can also, once you get the search, if you're not using it for Man Pillars or ZEFRA War, it's just a solid material that you can use to go into Utopia Beyond, which will then allow you to OTK your opponent, because it'll make all the attack of all their monsters 0, which sort of conflicts with, actually no it doesn't, because Master Cerberus gains the original attack. So it just makes Utopia Beyond even better in this deck. M7 in case we need to bounce something. So, just pretty solid. And then Photon Bouncer in case I do have a pretty mediocre hand. I can go, if I end up summoning double ZEFRA, I can overlay both of them into Photon Strike Bouncer, and then off ZEFRA I can search a ZEFRA Divine Strike, so I can then banish one from the extra deck once I've used Bouncer's effect, or if I have another ZEFRA in the extra deck. So Photon Bouncer being sort of like a soft negate. Well, it does negate, but it doesn't destroy, and instead it inflicts damage. Castell being just a level 4 removal. You already have plenty of level 4 removal with ZEFRA Thuban and ZEFRAxiton, but sometimes your Garudas are just chilling there, they're not doing anything, so why not overlay them for Castell, and then Breaksword just to give our level 3s a purpose, because we play double ZEFRA Wendy, double ZEFRA. When you do not use ZEFRA's effect to synchro, you can potentially go into a Breaksword, as well as use Archery and Eccentric. Although Breaksword sort of conflicts with Archery and Eccentric, because a lot of times you can just tribute this to destroy a monster on the field, which is sort of what Breaksword does anyway, but you can use, for example, Breaksword, if you have Electrum on the field, you can use Breaksword to target one card you control, which can be a card in Pendulum Scale, and then you can always get the draw off Electrum, so I feel like Breaksword is pretty good in that regard. And then, links, I already covered. So, yeah, that pretty much wraps up the deck. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like, and even subscribe. Consider subscribing, because if you subscribe, you'll be updated when I post all the deck profiles, and it will mean a whole lot to me. So yeah, with that being said, KB signing out.